Good evening, everyone. Happy September and fall as we're excited about the beginning of the school year 23-24 school year. And it's great to be back with you. As we do with every town hall, we start with our commitment. PGCPS is moving swiftly to deliver safe, state-of-the-art, and sustainable learning environments for our students, teachers, and communities. Today's agenda, we will kick it off with team introductions. There will be a construction update, and then there will be a school program and operations update, followed by a transportation update, traffic and community impact, safety and security, and finally, school building and move updates. And then we will open it up to question and answer. Team introductions. I'm Jason Washington. I am joined from the construction side by Mr. Jose Lopez, our project manager with Brailsford and Dunleavy. We are joined today by our colleagues from the Office of Safety and Security Services, Director Gary Cunningham, and Field Operations Supervisor Joseph Harris. Director Kiba Baldwin from the Office of Transportation, Dr. Kay Fawcett, Instructional Director with PGCPS, and also our county colleagues and partners from the Department of Public Works and Transportation, Mr. Jahid Russell and Mr. Sean Lewis, and from the County Office of Community Relations, Director Unisha Davis. And finally, from the Prince George's County Police Department, Captain Kay Benson, Assistant Operations Commander Major Jeffrey Mitchell, and Captain David Martini. And we'll turn it over to Principal Lattimore to introduce your team, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to introduce our dynamic team for Colin Powell Academy. My name is Nina Lattimore. I am the principal of the new Colin Powell Academy. We have Miss Allison, who is our assistant principal for K through 5th grade. We have Dr. Renina Gortico, who is our assistant principal for 6th grade. We have Mr. Aaron Pinky for 7th grade. We have Mr. John Moore for 8th grade, and our student advocate, Mr. Creek. Welcome, and thank you for being here tonight.
We'll start with Jose with the construction update.
Good evening, everyone. As we are in the September month, I will start that timeline. 3 major milestones. The FF&E, which is your furniture at the elementary tower. This is the 3-story tower. This has started, there's been deliveries of furniture. It actually started on 9/11. And then the next milestone would be the AHJ inspections, which will start within a month from now. And then project readiness is November 8th. Next slide, please. So a few updates since our last meeting, things that have been completed. I'm sure everyone has noticed the sidewalks at Fort Washington Road has been completed, as well as sod along Swan Creek Road and Fort Washington Road. Sidewalks, curbs and gutters, and base paving separating the loading dock. This would be the east side of the building. That is also completed. And then the RTUs, these are the rooftop units have started, meaning they're running as we speak. The windowsills at the 4-story tower have been installed, and then your overhead MEPs, ceiling, and second coat of paint in the dining and media commons have been completed as well. In corridors of levels 1 through 4, the ceiling tile has been installed, and then lockers have been installed in levels 2 and 3 of the middle school tower. Exterior paint around the building of the facade has been completed as well. Some work in progress that is going on right now this month. We have the base and final paving at the basketball court. Likewise, window sills and wall protection installation inside the building. And then casework for levels 1, 2, and 3 at the elementary tower is ongoing. Final paint on level 2 and 3 on both towers in the elementary school is ongoing as well. And then in the kitchen area, we have the equipment hookups. They're being connected. The equipment has been delivered. Everything is just being finalized to be connected. And the ceiling has been, the tile ceiling has been dropped. Final cleaning in the classrooms in the 3-story tower, which is the elementary tower. This has been ongoing. And then installation of bathroom partitions and toilet accessories in both towers are ongoing as well. As mentioned before, furniture installation has been ongoing on all the levels from second through fourth level on the 4-story tower, which is your middle school. And then wood flooring and finishes at your gyms, stage, and learning stairs are ongoing this month. Next steps, the final paving, matter of fact, this was completed ahead of time. The final paving at Fort Washington, Swan Creek Road, and Asbury Drive. Last step is just striping the area. Ceiling installation on levels 1 of the 4-story tower, and the music and band rooms will be the next area for ceiling tiles. Final cleaning on level 1 and 2 and 3 of the elementary tower is scheduled. And then again, the furniture FF&E at the 3rd-story tower is ongoing and will continue for the end of this month and beginning of next month. One thing they're looking at right now is the kitchen fire suppression system to be complete in the kitchen area, and that would bring us to the DOH inspection, which is Department of Health. This is inspection that is required to pass because we have a kitchen in the school. Last two, wood flooring installation at the dance studio, and then the final paving at the parking lots. Next slide, please. Here's a quick picture. On the left-hand side, you see lockers. The lockers, was taken on the 4-story tower. And then on your right-hand side is the kitchen. As you can see, we've installed a lot of the equipment. Now it's just a final phase of getting it inspected. Next slide, please. On the left-hand side, this is your gym. You can see the flooring has been installed. The last step would be waxing the floor and start putting the lines for the court. And then on your right-hand side, this is your west wing. There's a learning stair there. You can see how beautiful the ceiling has come. It's more bright there. And, these are quick updates. Next slide. Back to you.
Yeah, now we will turn it over to Principal Lattimore and team.
All right, thank you so much. So I want to just give a huge shout out right now to our staff and our students who are online and their families. Dr. Forsett, who's our RD. I want to just thank you all for being very flexible and understanding as we move to a new building in the heart of the fall. Our current enrollment right now with our warm body counts are about 984. Our school hours have definitely changed for our lower level with 8 a.m. to 2:40 p.m. for our students. I want our parents to know and community to know that we are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We send out a Sunday newsletter called The Call, which gives you all the latest information about our school, what's happening with our building, as well as our progress day to day in our buildings. Our ratio right now is approximately, I would say probably like 28 to 1. Across all grade levels from K through 8th. We have some few events coming up that we would love you to partake in with us. They're here as follows. As far as the new school opening and the new building, our lower level students are housed in one area. So they're housed on the first floor. So that involves right now at this moment, our students from pre-K through Potomac Landing 6th grade students, because they will not cross over into the middle school into their 7th grade year. There is no interaction right now between any of our students from our lower level with those in what we call now our upper level at all. Sixth grade is on our second floor. They occupy that floor for all their contour classes. Seventh, third floor, and fourth floor for their core content as well. Next slide, please. One of the things we want to make sure for parents on board or just everyone who's listening is that we want to ensure our students' safety. We have purchased, which is called Smart Pass. Smart Pass will be utilized in grades 5th through 8th. It is an application which our students will have a kiosk inside all their classrooms through a Chromebook. They will use their own device to set up their own password and ID. Through this device for safety, when our students have to go to the nurse or they're going to see the therapist or counselor or bathroom, this device will track their movement throughout the building. It will track it by minutes and to make sure they're safe in the halls to return back to their classrooms in a timely order. Next slide, please. Our bell schedule starts, our students, because of buses, may enter at 7:30 a.m. for those buses that arrive early. We do right now have staff who are on duty to make sure they're able to watch over students at their respective times onto our campus. Because of the large number of car riders that we have in our building, although our day ends at 2:40, we do begin our car riders at about 2:20 at this time to make sure they're able to get out and home safely. Next slide, please. All right, here we go. At this point in time, we have over 150 car riders at both Potomac Landing and Osgood Dean. And I want to thank the parents who are online right now from Potomac Landing because you have been understanding of our new car rider system. We have adopted for our school at this time at Potomac Landing a number system, which means for the safety of our students, we do not want to dismiss all of our students at one time for all these cars. So there's a number system, and students have been exiting our building within 20 minutes to not delay traffic along Fort Washington Road. When we opened Colin Powell Academy, we have adopted School Pass. School Pass is an automated system, and I'm going to have Dr. Gortico to share more light on this for you as well. She's there.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Happy to be here. Thank you for joining us tonight. So as Principal Lattimore had said, School Pass is one of the services that we have looked into. We have looked into several different options. At this time, this is what we're looking into implementing at Colin Powell Academy. School Pass will have parents come register and download an app which they can indicate their dismissal plans. So for instance, if your child is normally a bus rider and for that day you would like to pick your child up, you can make changes into the app by a certain cutoff time, so let's say 2 p.m., so that it could inform us of these changes. Because sometimes when parents make these changes and it's close to dismissal time, that is what holds up the dismissal. Okay, so this way we would be able to know what your dismissal plans are, and we can prepare, staff can prepare for that dismissal. So when you enter the school campus, cars will have an RFID, a radio frequency ID tag on their cars. It doesn't have any personal information other than you will be picking up. A staff member will scan your car. It will alert the teacher in the classroom that you are in the car line, and that will alert them as well to release your child to be ready for dismissal. This again allows us to automate your dismissal, make sure it moves swiftly and smoothly, and we don't hold up any cars and cause traffic. So for instance, in the slide that you see right now, the Brickman family has 2 kids, Lane and Kelly. So that would automatically alert the teachers in each of the children's classroom that you are in line and that you would be, that the children should be dismissed and ready to be picked up by the time you get to the front of the building. Okay, thank you. And this also, like what we talked about, a car line or automation, it helps us know your real-time dismissal plans. It allows you to change your dismissal plans in the app, like I had mentioned. More importantly, it also helps us know who you're authorizing to pick up your child. We want to make sure that your children go home only to people you authorize, and that app helps us to do that. And if you, for instance, have already had parents say that, all right, my child is going to ride with this other child because it's Friday and they're going to have a sleepover, they'll be in a carpool. This helps us know as well who you're authorizing for that.
Oh, back one slide. Okay. We know we have a large number of students operating in our space and time in a neighborhood. We want to assure that our students, and also that the neighborhood is not conflicted with the car riders and buses coming in. So at this point, we want to just give a shed light onto you how we're going to make sure that traffic is maintained in our school building. This exhibit here, as you see, the buses will enter through East Swan Creek Road. Next slide. Okay, next, sorry. Keep going. We have a lot of lights. Thanks, Martico. They will then enter down into our bus loop. Next slide. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And right there. They will enter here, and our students will then exit from our buildings to the bus loop on this side. It keeps away from traffic from our car riders as well as bus riders for easy exit outside of our school building. Next slide, please. Overflow parking, so they will loop themselves. The buses here, you see the arrow going down in the fuchsia color. They will then exit along the overflow parking, and they will loop back out to East Swan Creek Road. So their own personal exit for bus riders to assure there's no traffic delays holding up our students and our car riders from leaving our school building. Next slide, please. Our car riders will enter from Fort Washington Road. They will then go along the front loop of our school. Keep going. Keep going. There we go. We have also have an overflow parking, which will allow us to accommodate all of our 200 plus car riders to get into their cars and out of the building as well. Next slide. Then we'll continue the front. Continue. And continue. And out. Thank you. Next slide. Thank you. Next slide. All right. There will be cones outside along. So our car riders, as you see, would loop around from the entry on Fort Washington Road. They would allow it to be the overflow parking that are alongside of our bus side there. And they would then exit along Fort Washington Road. There's no turning left. You will have to exit right and then go around the roundabout if you would like to turn left to go to your homeward destination. Next slide, please. Yes, we have a lot of arrows, but yes, continue. I want to be very clear on the next slide. We skipped one. If you would go back 2 slides about the houses that are there. I think you missed it. There was a photo one. Maybe back 2. I just want to make it very clear. I know parents, as we fix the slides, I know that sometimes the traffic is very thick. And we would like to pick our kids up. There we go. Perfect. I understand that the loop of car riders can be cumbersome. And I understand that the wait time sometimes, if you have places to go or things to do, that you do not want to wait in line. But I need to be very adamant in sharing with you this. We, as parents, cannot park our cars alongside East Swan Creek Road or Fort Washington Road. Is a hindrance not only to others in our neighborhood, but a hindrance to other car riders who are waiting to pick up their children as well. You cannot park your car in front of the homes alongside East Swan Creek Road or the homes by Fort Washington Road. I get it. We want to come and grab our students. We're currently operating in a school enrollment of close to 1,000 students. So if we have parents who want to walk up and grab students because they have to go and they're parked alongside the road, it's just not going to work for safety. And as you know, currently right now, Potomac Landing, the number system has worked. We're in and out in 15 to 20 minutes. So I want to give a huge alert to let you know that the parking along East Swan Creek Road and Fort Washington Road is not anything that we can accommodate for those students who are listed as car riders. If your child is a walker, which means they reside in an area that requires of them, they're listed as walkers. Those students will have an allocated location for which walkers will be designated to leave from our school building. That entrance for walkers is actually at the bottom left photo here. Go back to the next slide, the last slide you just left, I'm sorry. The photo there of the homes. If we can. Well, I'll do.
One moment.
Okay, no problem. As we slide, the bottom left are the homes that are on Fort Washington Road. There is a gate that will be there. So I'm on my hand to the left here. Well, right. This right here. There you go. Perfect. Where the orange cone is. Where the orange cone is, there is an entrance there currently in which there'll be stairs for our walkers to exit. I want to be very clear to parents. Very clear. If your child is designated as a car rider, please use our car rider loop to pick up your child. Parking along Fort Washington Road or East Swan Road in front of the homes elongated on these sides will not be accepted. We have to use our system to make sure they work for our students' safety. If your child, and we will use in our system, we use SchoolMax, which designates which student is a car rider, walker, or bus rider. Our walkers will be designated by a tag that we have, kind of like I would say like a luggage tag that says they're a walker that we use through our system. They will be escorted by our staff to the stairs as walkers. Okay. During our time of moving to our new school building, we will have open houses in which our students who are car riders will receive their allocation for their Smart Pass trip through the car loop. Martika, did I miss anything?
It's for the school pass. The Smart Pass will be for the hallways, and the school pass will be for the car line.
Thank you. Next slide, we can continue. Right. So in all, there are 3 exits in which we'll use for our students to be dismissed from and arrive from day to day. The far right here, you see our 2nd to 5th grade bus rider entrance. These students will enter through the bus loop. They will come through and they will go to their designated areas. Our 2nd through 5th grade students will turn left down our hallway and enter to their classrooms after going to the cafeteria for their breakfast meals. 6th to 8th have our middle door here in which they will then breakfast and go up to their respective classrooms there. As I shared before, our 6th, 7th, and 8th grades have their own floor levels in which they only have their core content classes. Our 6th grade students have their own stairwell in which they will go to and from lunch and back to their classrooms as well. The far left here you see will be our pre-K through 1st bus rider entrance. So while yes, your student's a bus rider in kindergarten and 1st grade, they will enter from East Swan Creek Road. East Swan Creek Road, our staff will then be available at the front entrance here where 2nd to 5th enter to escort our pre-K through 1st grade students down to their classrooms after receiving their breakfast in the cafeteria. Next slide. Is that me?
Nope, that's safety and security. Did you have any more slides, Principal Lattimore?
No, but I do want to add that we are very up to date on the safety and security of all of our students. So these 2 applications that we have put in place are to ensure the safety of our students to and from our school. We're also looking forward to now integrating practices and procedures for cell phone policies in our buildings as well. And we'll share more information with that in our upcoming newsletters as well.
Perfect. Thank you so very much. And I'm sure there'll be questions for you when we get to the Q&A session as well. Next, we're going to move to a safety and security update. Director Cunningham.
Good evening, everyone. Gary Cunningham, Director of Safety and Security. Just a few points I want to go over, questions that have been asked. We do not currently have a school resource officer assigned to K through 8 middle schools in Prince George's County. There may be several assigned to certain middle schools but this is not one of them. We do have Captain Benson on the call, but he can also talk about some of the staffing that they're doing to augment. There's the SRO program. They have received a grant. That grant will allow them to float through some of the schools, and they are focusing on some of our K through 8 schools, in addition to our middle schools and our high schools. We have requested 2 safety and security assistants for this school. We will look at the volume of their work, calls for service, things of that nature, to determine whether or not we will need additional staffing. But we are, as new middle schools come online, we are adding safety and security staffing there. We do not have that at every middle school, but we are going to do that as new schools come online. All of our high schools have safety and security personnel. We currently have a cluster model. So this school will report to the lead security officer that I believe is at Potomac High School. So that is where they'll get most of their direction. We do have safety and security cameras throughout the facility. They are monitored 24 hours a day by our staff, and we do have an alarm system at every door and glass breaking detectors. We have real-time access to all cameras, and the police department also can have that access, and we have direct access to their public safety communications office. Generally, the maintenance for cameras and alarm systems are handled by my office, the Office of Safety and Security. This obviously was a special circumstance of the way that this facility was constructed, but we are involved in the process as we go forward. Next slide, please. Next question about drills and exercises. The state of Maryland mandates that we conduct certain drills quarterly. Those drills are evacuation drills, shelter-in-place drills, reverse evacuation drills, lockdown drills, drop, cover, and hold, and severe weather drills. We do not practice active shooter drills. What you'll see is several of the phases within this drill are part of the active shooter drill. There have been some concerns that practicing the active shooter drills may cause trauma or upset some of the children. So we avoid that, the active shooter drill, and we do focus on different parts of the drill. As far as enhanced safety devices, we have not looked at installing metal detectors or enhanced safety devices at this school. We do that based upon the need, and we are actually evaluating whether or not we're going to install them in all of the middle schools. We've not gotten to that point yet. Currently, our plan is to install them in all of the high schools and select middle schools. And those select middle schools are the ones that we've had some issues with in the past. And next slide, please. I think that's it for me. I'll be around for questions later.
Perfect. Brittany, I think we skipped the transportation one. I saw it earlier during Principal Lattimore's presentation. I think it slipped in, and I want to make sure that we allow Director Baldwin to just give an update on the transportation plan and the buses before we go to this slide.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Kibo Baldwin, I'm the Director of Transportation. What the bell schedule is 8 to 2:40. We have 21 buses assigned to the campus. Bus routes are already operating on the Colin Powell route schedules, except they're going to the designated schools now. So on the opening date, we would just be able to change their arrival locations to the actual academy. Question was raised about the electric buses. We've ordered 20 electric school buses. They're due to deliver before the end of the year, and we will continue to transition through our climate action plan to an electric bus fleet, securing that across the county from that standpoint. So we're going to continue to work with our schools with the arrival plans, making sure that we can provide a safe and timely arrival for all of our students. All right, I think that does it for me. Thank you.
And then we'll finish up, and then we can open it up for questions. There were questions asked about the public spaces and fields. To be clear, all fields are open to the public and available for use during non-school hours, and that is at the direction of school personnel and school operations. School activities take precedent. And so that is, and none of the fields have lights. So there will be no evening and night participation or games or anything of that sort on the fields. And then public groups and organized activities will not be able to reserve school facilities until May. For all new schools, there's a 6-month moratorium, basically to allow the school to get acquainted with their own facilities and to determine what they want to make available and what they don't from a renting out standpoint, et cetera. And so that will be also at the discretion of school leadership to grant access to certain places and inside and outside of the school facilities. But there will be no organized activities or any groups that can reserve the school facilities until May. There was a question around the community health center. To date, there is no identified vendor. There's an RFP that has went out from the Office of Health and from the Department of Health, from PGCPS in the county. And once a vendor is selected, they would enter into an MOU, an agreement with the county Department of Health. And we will be notified at that time. But as of right now, there is no vendor, and the community health center will not be opening when the school begins and when school operations begin in November. And to ensure no disruption to education, I think we can probably confirm that there will be no vendor activity for the coming months as well, just in terms of getting a vendor in there and allowing the school to really begin operations. Finally, with move management, we started those preparations. We met with the departments and will soon begin meeting with school leadership and staff at each of the schools to start planning out the moves to make them as seamless as possible. And non-instructional, not essential instructional materials, we want to start slowly moving that into the school once availability is reached on November 8th, so that really all that we are moving preceding Thanksgiving are materials of instruction and those final materials from the classroom. With that, we will turn it over to question and answer. As demonstrated here, please add your questions to the bottom, and we can start to address them at this time.
Like Jason said, please place some of your questions into the bottom Q&A portion of the Zoom. Jason, did you want to go over some of the questions that were typed and answered?
Yeah. I mean, the Principal Lattimore should always join us for these community town halls because she's answering. I appreciate it. So one of the questions: will there be panic buttons in all classrooms? All of the classroom doors are equipped with one-button locks that locks down the classrooms and prevents external entry for anyone unless they have a key to enter, and that is standard across the state now. That's a requirement that's there. Additionally, there are blinds on both the interior windows and the exterior windows of the schools that can be let down as well to prevent direct sight lines into the classrooms. One of the questions: what is the estimated time for car drop-off? It really will depend on the day. Doors open every morning for arrival at 7:45, and that will play itself out over the next few months through operations. Are clear backpacks required? Clear backpacks will be for 6th through 8th graders. And Principal Lattimore, please step in.
Can I chime in for? I see a lot of questions here, so I'm going to go through kind of what I see in the chat box now. So right now, our students at Isaac Radine, they do have clear backs. I do realize there are students that are at our elementary level of Potomac Landing that are in our elementary kind of 6th grade moment. So they will still be housed in that elementary section of Colin Powell. And so they can continue to wear their backpacks. When they move to the upper level, which we're calling for them will be 6th, 7th through 8th, then they will have the clear backpacks. I'm going through here about, let me just go through from Miss Loving. Do we know of the uniform policy? And if so, do the colors? At this moment, we are currently voting on everything about our new school because our students and staff are very excited. Students will continue to wear their reflective uniforms from Potomac Landing, which is your mustard yellow shirt and your khaki bottom, or that I think it's called royal blue. And then Gordine, they will continue to wear their respective colors for their designated class levels. So we have gold, black, and gold for 6th grade. We have purple for 7th grade and black for our 8th grade. So they'll wear those uniform colors until, as a collective body, we vote on them together throughout the upcoming months. We're currently voting on our school mascot this coming week, Friday and next week. So stay forward to that as well. Parents and community will be allowed to vote. I saw a question here about how can nearby community members who don't have children, students learn about school events and activities. Well, guess what? Every Sunday you get the Call newsletter. It is a newsletter that's filled with things happening in our school and things you can vote upon and be a part of our collective community. If you don't have a student in our school, you may find the Call on Facebook under Colin Powell Academy. You may find it in Twitter under Colin Powell Academy, Instagram, Colin Powell Academy. And for those parents who are here, we also have Class Dojo, where you can also find our newsletter once a week, Sundays, 8 a.m. sometimes, for you to read as well. Everything you need right there about our school.
I can go ahead and start doing them in order.
Go ahead. Yep.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. It's fine.
So the first question that popped up here is, how are you adjusting to traffic on Fort Washington Road to Livingston Road to minimize backups? Currently, it's backing up without the additional traffic.
We won't be adjusting we won't be adjusting traffic. I think what Principal Lattimore set forth is the direction that they're going to give parents when they enter the site, to not add any additional backup to it by having those direct rights leaving the campus onto Fort Washington, and for the buses entering and exiting off East Swan Creek. But we don't have the ability to adjust or make alterations to traffic patterns outside of just our school operations that we will do.
I believe this question is, their student is designated a walker. I saw the thing before, within 2 miles, but can the parent choose to drop and pick off the child instead if they're in that walking boundary?
That is correct. One of the things we hope to do during our time moving into our school is house our open houses. As we purchase our new car rider system, we're going to have parents come in to pick up their designated tag for their students. And so if you are going to be picking them up from the school and you're in a car, it is best to have the application to allow for pickup. One of the things I want to be very clear about is that I get it. Believe me. When you see 100+ cars and you have somewhere to go, you want to get your student and you want to be able to go back home. But for safety and security, we have to operate in a manner in which allows us to make sure that students come out to their right car at the right time and the right order. So yes, there can be a backup, but once all of our families have applied to this application, the transition runs very smoothly, as we've seen here lately at Potomac Landing with our car rider number system. So I would suggest, yes, we'll give you information to sign up to be a car rider.
Thank you. And Principal Lattimore, the next one might be for you as well. How is the school pass system tracking this children?
Martika?
So let me clarify that these are two different systems: Smart Pass and School Pass. I know they're close to the names. Okay, Smart Pass is for our hallway monitoring system. It allows us to know if students are outside the classroom. Why this is important for safety is that, for instance, if we have an emergency, we have drills, we know how to find students who are not in the classroom. There's no GPS tracking location. It gives us just a general idea that a student might be in the bathroom, or at the nurse's office, or at the school counselor's office. Okay, so School Pass for the car rider system just tracks that you have arrived in our car line, and to get the classroom teachers, to have your classroom teachers ready for to have your children ready for dismissal. The next question is related to that, which is, are the children walking through the halls with their laptops? The children have their laptops for instruction, but they wouldn't be logging into SmartPass themselves. The teachers give them, think of it as a digital hall pass. Remember when we were students, we get little tags that we're going to the bathroom or to the nurse. This is just digital. It allows us to just know how much time or where the children are in case of emergencies. So they don't need to be holding their laptops for their when they need to go to the bathroom. The Smart Pass is for the teachers to use and monitor hallway activity.
Thank you so much. The next question, the new school is in my boundary for Colin Powell. How can I ensure my student is accepted? She goes to another school right now, and we just moved to Fort Washington.
So how that works is for this school year, all of the students, the only students attending Colin Powell are those that started at Potomac Landing and Isaac Gordine on the first day of school. What will happen next school year, all of the students in the boundary, Colin Powell is the school. And so we did that just because we wanted to ensure that the school community stayed together as they moved into the new campus. But beginning next fall will be the institution of the boundaries that are in place, and all of those students that may be at different schools this year, but will still be in 7th or 8th grade and haven't moved on to high school, will move into Colin Powell next fall.
Thank you, Jason. Are there panic buttons or blue lights in the outside areas, especially near the protected wildlife?
There are not. We will, as we move forward, as part of the maintenance program, we will continue to determine and evaluate what other additional measures may be necessary as we move forward.
With School Pass, if there are multiple people picking up the child on different occasions, does everyone need to have a badge on their car to be scanned?
Yes, we will give you more information as we firm up our plans with the company, including when to register and pick up your tags. So yes, you will need to have tags for your car so that we can automate our car line.
Is there any chance that the bus pickup and drop-offs will improve with the move to the new school?
The transportation?
Yes, I believe that is
Yes.
Dr. Baldwin.
Yep,
Yes.
Director Powell. Yep.
Yes. So right now, as you may know, we do have a driver shortage. And what we are anticipating as the year goes on, we hire more drivers. We'll be able to fill those vacant runs. But right now, with the routes, they're generated with the boundary of Colin Powell. So once you move into Colin Powell, we're anticipating that the route times will improve. I should say more like the arrival times will improve. Okay.
Thank you. Next one would be for you as well, Director Baldwin. We currently have a bus route that's consistently late. Can transportation speak to efforts to get things running on schedule? So just what you had said.
Yep. I would like to say that one thing that we are actively working on right now is trying to improve the communication so that we can let the parents know that if the bus is going to be late or if the bus is going to be substituted, we are working with a viable solution that we're hoping that we can implement here in the near future. Until then, I encourage everyone to sign up for our Stop Finder app, and you can do that by updating your email address in the School Max family portal. That way we can send you an invitation, and that will open up the Stop Finder app for you in order to track your child. Thank you.
The next two are similar, I believe, for Principal Lattimore. Are the upper and lower levels, as in, I'm assuming, students physically divided and separated?
They
also,
are.
how will you ensure that upper class remains separated?
They are separated physically. So I don't have a diagram in front of you. So when our students enter through their front door, which is kind of our learning lab there, there's stairwells, and there's a lower level in which they kind of enter into. Our pre-K students have their own door in which they go to that side where parents can have easy access to their students. Following down that hallway, which also faces our lower level library, are all of our kindergarten through second grade classrooms. When you enter into the building from the main entrance, you will see stairwells along our learning level side as well, which will house third through fifth grades there. On the opposite, Jason can probably share it too, on the opposite right-hand side of that building is where our upper level students are housed, their designated floors. So there's really no interaction for our students at all in terms of the upper level and lower. Our cafeteria also has two kitchens. One kitchen serves our elementary students and one other kitchen serves our upper level students. But I do want to say this to parents as well. We are a K-8 academy. And as your instructional leader of that academy, we are making sure that our students are definitely housed in their areas. However, as we grow to a learning school as well, there may be opportunities in which we reach out for our collective students and our teachers to join in as a collective unit with our students. So there could be read alouds, there may be times of like mentorship, there may be activities in which our whole entire school will be together with K through 8th and involvement. Think of like field days, think of assemblies, think of that sort of thing. We are one building. And so with that being said, although we're housed physically separate, there will be times when we'll come together for activities with one another.
Thank you so much, Principal Lattimore. Next question. How many resource officers will there be on a daily basis? Along those lines, will there be crossing guards or traffic monitors? And finally, what is the tactical capability of the District 7 police with respect to active shooter situation? So I know we have a couple people on for each of those questions. And Jason, do you want to delegate?
I mean, for the resource officers, that would be Director Cunningham, just to confirm that it's that what the staffing will look like at the school. For the crossing guards, I don't know if anyone is here from that unit to address that question. And I don't know who from District 7 is available to respond to the active shooter situation question.
So if I could,
okay.
So there is a difference between a school resource officer and a security assistant. I oversee the safety and security assistants and security personnel at school. We will have two people assigned there. Captain Benson, I believe, is on the call. He can answer the question regarding other things. And as far as crossing guards, we have made the request for our crossing guards at that school.
Okay, this is Major Mitchell from Division 7. I can answer the question as far as the tactical goes.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Okay, all the officers out of Division 7 have been trained in active shooter situations. So if an emergency or something takes place where there is an active shooter, Once the call goes into 911, we'll dispatch officers to that scene.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
And I think that addressed it. Yep.
Excellent. Next question, will MNCCP be working out of the school for after school activities?
I do not believe so. That Principal Lattimore to confirm, but I believe they will stay at Potomac Landing. Is where they operate out on a portion of that site right now, and they are not scheduled to move over with the school.
We welcome all partnerships, though.
This is Captain Benson here. I just wanted to follow up on the previous question regarding school resource officers. Our school resource officers are defined under Maryland law as part of the Safe to Learn Act in 2018. We do have a centralized school resource officer program through the Bureau of Patrol. They're at all of our traditional high schools, and they do rove some of our various middle schools. Director Cunningham did mention earlier a grant through the Maryland Center for School Safety that we were recently awarded. That's to provide additional adequate coverage of law enforcement officers at our schools. Further, with that, the adequate coverage is also handled by municipal partners, as well as the patrol division for the impacted area, which would include the Fort Washington division that's commanded by Major Jeffrey Mitchell, who just previously spoke. So we would work in partnership with our community engagement unit to stop in at the school so that they're familiar with their community engagement officer, as well as we have a southern region for our school liaison unit that would also stop by from time to time and check in.
Thank you so much, Captain Benson.
I just want to chime in. This is Sean Lewis with the police department. Just wanted to add, I manage the crossing guards. Unfortunately, due to our manpower, we won't be able to provide crossing guards to that site at this time, but we will continue to revisit it either later in the year or next year when staffing levels increase.
I guess add to that question about the crossing guard piece. So in our process as our school team, and we're looking for community support, we will be seeking those who can help us in that dismissal and arrival procedure. And so if our community is on board right now, just please look for it in the call newsletter about those who want to volunteer to support us in dismissal. You have a nice blue little vest on to help us designate those who support, but definitely background checks will be needed as well for that.
Excellent. Thank you so much, everyone. Next question. If we're typically bus riders, but might occasionally pick up students, will we need a tag?
We would recommend that if there might be opportunities that you change your dismissal plan, that you pick up register for the app and pick up a tag. There are no cost to it. So I would just have that ready just in case you need to do that some afternoons.
Thank you. Will there be van pickup areas for after school programs?
Yes. So our van riders will still be in a designated area as well as our car riders, depending on the number of students there. So they will still also have that same app available to them as well. And we'll get their names for them as during our open house ceremonies or during the call newsletter.
And actually, Principal Lattimore, there's a question about the open house dates, and somebody was asking, have they been announced yet? So you can go ahead and answer that one way or the other now, since you just mentioned it.
I would love to answer that. So, everyone knows that we are slated to move into our school building on November 27th. We are right now at this time working towards with our district leaders to provide our staff and our students and our families with some leeway, because as you know, the holidays approach. And so we want to make sure that our staff and our students are not stressed and overwhelmed with moving in the day after the holidays. While that has not been approved yet for us, we are searching or seeking the opportunity to have some learning that may be outside the school walls so that our students are able to, our staff, teachers are able to have our building ready for that time. I would like to add that since we do open the Monday after Thanksgiving, that we will look towards having our open houses that weekend for our families and community. At this time, we don't have specific dates because we're waiting to hear back if we can be allowed to have additional learning outside of our school walls as our staff prepare for the opening of our school. But yes, to open house for all.
While you're on it, Principal Lattimore, what is the target date for students to occupy the new building?
What I've heard, well, Mr. Washington, you want to share? Because I heard.
Yeah, it's November 27th. That's the day the building will be turned over. Turned over, meaning we are expecting the use and occupancy to begin moving not furniture, but moving materials in November 8th. And so the first day of classes will be November 27th. And I believe one of the questions, has that been communicated with the parents? And I believe it has by school leadership thus far. Yeah.
Right. So right now, am I mute? Okay. So right now, what we're doing is families, you will see in our call newsletter on Sunday that we're at the early stages of getting ready to move. Our staff have been aware. We're going to start really packing up some of our, what we call is pre-move. Our pre-move are our library books. There are books that are stored in storage for students to use throughout the year. There are pre-move items. And so we're going to start working on those the first week of October. And then later on, as we approach the 1st of November, we're looking into more of our classroom usage of packing those things up as well, which is why for us it's integral that our staff really and students have time to really get inside the school building to make sure it's ready for our students. We have a lot of things prepared for, as you see, from School Pass to Smart Pass, as well as fire drill procedures. We want to make sure we're ready for our students to enter our buildings collectively on the 27th.
Okay. How will the integration of Rose Valley students and staff be handled?
That will be next school year, and I think it'll be just like the beginning of any school year. The staff will welcome in students like the beginning of any school year, and the integration of joining the Colin Powell community. I don't know if there's anything more to say there. It will literally just be, the start of the school year and welcoming new students into the community. And those students that are zoned for Colin Powell, that are at Rose Valley, that are at Fort Washington Forest, that are at some other schools, they will be notified probably this spring to confirm their boundary. And I am certain that there will be, information provided for the school by the school for those new students well in advance of the first day of school next year to get them ready to join the community.
Transportation question. This person lives near Rose Valley and the students in School Max as a walker. When will the student receive bus information for the new school? So I'm assuming this will happen next year when Rose Valley is vetting, correct?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
If they're walkers, are there going to be crossing guards? Also, for those who might be riding public transportation, will there be an additional public buses? The last question here is, if you see parents parking on Swan Creek and Fort Washington Road, how do you report them to, or who do you report them to?
Number one, that was answered earlier. A request has been made, but due to staffing, there are no crossing guards identified at this time for the school. They will continue to seek that out, and if staffing changes, that will be revisited. We have no way of adding public buses or additional public buses to the routes that exist. There will be no additional buses created for the school through WMATA. And if you see parents parking, I will confirm, but it will probably be the non-emergency number to call for the police department, or we still need to work that out, quite honestly, just in terms of that there is a number that the school may also distribute something for the community if there are complaints, if there are folks violating the no parking signs that will be put out there. So more to come on exactly what that process will look like.
We just really encourage parents when we have our open houses and selective dates outside open house to make sure if you're going to be a car rider any chance, please just go ahead and get the tag for your car. We want to make sure that at our school that we are a community school, that we're not holding up any traffic in and out, dismissal, before and after school as well. We want to respect our neighbors and to make sure that their property is also understood and appreciated as we operate our school day to day.
Will students who live in Clinton and go to Fort Washington Forest be attending this school?
It will literally depend on how the boundaries. They on the PGCPS website. I think there are a page for boundaries that lay out exactly what the boundaries are going forward. The boundaries for Colin Powell will take effect next school year. So there will be some students that are attending for Washington Forest, I believe, Accokeek, as well as Rose Valley, that will be pulled into the catchment for Colin Powell. But I don't know specifically what zip codes and what streets per se. That information, I believe, is because it was part of the boundary study, is on the website in the I think sub web page focused on boundaries. I don't know the exact link to it, but it's there.
Looking at the schedule to complete work, are there dates being identified to your students, parents, and community members through the new building ahead of move? I'm assuming is the move schedule being
It will be shared. We are really waiting to confirm if we're able to have some time for our staff to acclimate themselves to our new space and provide our students some time for asynchronous learning. That's something that we have are looking forward to see if that can happen, either through field trips at this moment. But it will be shared in the next few weeks with our families. We know that Thanksgiving is a big time where families travel and movement, and we also have conferences coming up in October. We will share that within a matter of 2 weeks with everyone. We really want to make sure that our staff has time to not only acclimate themselves, but also make sure they're prepared for students to enter with our new procedures, logistics, and so forth on the 27th of November.
Thank you. Dr. Lattimore, I'm so sorry. Principal Lattimore, this might be for you as well.
I'd be a doctor in a year too, but that's good. I like it. Okay.
Is there any plans to match middle schoolers with younger kids to like a mentor program?
So we are a school, and let me just give you a backtrack. We have been talking about our new building and the mascot with our students, and their students are very excited. It almost brings me joy to my eyes, tears, to know that our students are just so pumped about the new place and want to see it and want to be a part of it. And so at this time, I want to just make sure we focus on being a collective body through K through 8th. Will there be opportunities for our students to mix and enjoy activities together? Absolutely. At this time, I haven't thought of a mentorship, but in terms of bringing forth an environment in which all students are engaging with one another across grade levels, absolutely, yes. But at this time, we have not designated what kind of program that will be. We're excited for new clubs coming to our school, from karate to Legos, happening in January. But for right now, we're centered on just becoming a whole community in itself.
Thank you. 7th grade students that transition to Accokeek Academy, will they transition to Colin Powell when it opens?
I don't know exactly depending on the situation. So I think that will be a question for the academic staff and placement pupil accounting next year. But I don't know for sure on what that will look like.
Okay. For daycares that drop off and pick up students, would they follow the car rider line? So I'm assuming this means vans as well.
Anything on wheels? Yes, please.
Except for the buses, because they have their
Correct. That is true. Correct.
Another question in regards to crossing guards. Is the number of crossing guards based on student population? There's only one at Potomac Landing, and it seems like a low number. My assumption is in a typical sense when, there is staff, is it based on student population?
Sean Lewis here. There's a wide variety of, excuse me, let me take a step back. There's an assessment done by our crossing guards along with the school safety officer in the school based on the number of students, the streets, the location, vehicle traffic. It is determined when you look at all those factors, the crossing guards of supervisors along with the school's safety officer then determine what crossings they're going to place crossing guards. And secondly, how many crossing guards are required for each crossing, or if there are multiple crossings, how many crossing guards are required for to cover that, as well as per crossing. So it's not solely based on the amount of students that attend the school or the amount of students that are walking, that are walkers from that attend the school.
Thank you. Do we know what Potomac Landing will become after the transition?
At this time, we do not. And so that is going to be a determination by the board and with in consultations with Superintendent House around the best use of the facility. And at this time, we do not have anything to report out on future use of Potomac Landing.
Mm-hmm. And last question here. Will all of the students in different programs who currently attend Rose Valley be moving to the new school? There are currently students who attend a program at Rose Valley specifically for the program, but Rose Valley is not their boundary school. I don't know, Dr. Fostet, can you answer that?
Well, if that, I'm sure the program that they're speaking of, I can't be sure of all, but like, our school will take on for our lower level an autism program. That program also runs currently at our upper level, and that program will be open into the lower level in the upcoming year. I'm not sure if that's what the question is regarding to, but we are housed to take on those students from Rose Valley into Colin Powell Academy, and we're excited.
Mm-hmm. Another question popped in. What are the basic protocols for non-students entering the school?
Principal Lattimore, can you walk through just the regular process of guests entering into the school? And then if we need to supplement from there, I can. So.
When you say guests, you mean volunteers?
Just
guest, any visitor.
Any visitor coming into the school.
We truly get the excitement of wanting to come in to see the new space in the community. Hence why we're real excited about having open houses for those in our community and students, parents, and so forth. One of the protocols that we will have is we will have those open house dates selected. Once we near the open of our building, we realize that the ribbon cutting ceremony is in January. So we look for open houses for Reflect the Community to be held in December for those who wish to come into our building. Those will be dates assigned as well. When you do come into our building, you'll be required to have your license in order to be traced in our Raptor system, which is put your license in and you can operate in that manner to walk through our building and be guided by our staff members at that time. So please look out. If you're not receiving our call through our emails or school messenger, you will see that on Dojo for open house opportunities. We're also really open for ourselves to open more community partnerships. So if you have a club or a mentorship, please email me, and we can work on that as we gather more dates on our school opening in the spring.
And a couple of other things, entering any of the outside of arrival and dismissal, you can only enter the school after being buzzed in at the front office, and then again being buzzed in around into the front office. So there's no direct access into the school. You must go through a secured vestibule. Then you must go through the Raptor system, and we're just not going to open up the school just because you go through all of that. You have to have a reason to be there as well. And so one of the go ahead.
I would like to say, if you have a reason that you want to visit or just to be there or connect, I would like for you to email myself directly or any member of our admin team about wanting to connect to be a part of the school. We really value partnerships, and that's great. We want to make sure that it's not take away from our instructional time and what we have on plan for our students as well. But we're open. We must follow protocols of safety and security for everyone.
And to that point, anyone that has access to the school, as Principal Lattimore mentioned earlier, must undergo background checks, fingerprints, etc. So that is the protocol for entering any PGCPS school, and specifically Colin Powell. There's one final question here around the clinic and who will have access to it outside of the school. Currently, there is no identified vendor for the clinic, and so I can't speak to who they will service or what type of services that vendor would provide. Our basic tenet is that there is no access into the school from the clinic, even for students. So if a student is in the community clinic when it's operational, they would have to exit and walk back around to the front of the school to gain access into the school. There is no available route into the school through the clinic. And so that's how it's set up from an operational standpoint. Any more specifics than that will really depend on the vendor and how they operate. The question related to will mental health care be provided, that's an option. It literally depends on the vendor. It literally depends on who is selected. The community clinic, when there is an open house for the community to see it, you will see that it's totally fitted out. It is ready. It has exam rooms, office spaces. So there's a lot of flexibility for that space and the type of services that could be provided out of it.
That's it. Great to see you.
And I want to just say thanks to everybody for joining. I want to say for folks that have been looking at me and listening to me for the last year and a half, it is a pleasure to have actual experts that do education to add information. Principal Lattimore and your staff, thank you so very much. We are excited to be turning the school over to you all to create just magical things within the building. We are excited and are moving as quickly as possible to get this school built and to get out. We also want to say, and I do want to say, we understand and the impact that this construction has had on the community. We have not taken that lightly and have been as moving as quickly as we can to get out and to remove construction activities as quickly as possible. And we thank you all for the feedback, both positive and negative, and the questions over this time. If there are any additional questions, please feel free to send us those questions. But I am excited about what's going to happen at New Colin Powell, and I thank all of you for taking the time to join us tonight. Thank you so very much. Please have a safe and restful rest of the week and weekend. And all of our panelists, thank you all so much for taking the time. And for all of our community members, hopefully we answered a lot of your questions tonight. Thanks so much, everybody, and have a great rest of the evening.